Hello, hello. Good morning and happy Thursday. It is November 14th. It is 9:30 here in Las Vegas. The sun is kind of shining. I have the blinds open just so I can get a little bit more light in here, but yeah, it's a great start to my day so far. I hope that you are starting your day right. I hope that you're having a fabulous week. Today, all week I've been talking to you about how emotions are really, that they're real and that managing them can be hard, but you have the power if you just let yourself do this. If you just let yourself be open and accepting that you actually have the power to not only manage your emotions and manage your life, but to write your story, to rewrite it. If you're not happy where you're at right now, you can rewrite your story. It's essential for our emotional well-being to achieve self-awareness around our emotions so that we make better decisions on how we respond when we are triggered based on how we're feeling. Good morning, I'm Leslie Gadet, and I am an empowerment coach. I help my clients achieve self-awareness around their emotions so that they can handle their triggers, manage their emotions, and get back to what's really important, which is living a more positive life. Because achieving self-awareness means taking time to really get to know who you are, being open to change, because change is inevitable, and embracing that pivoting may be part of the process. In fact, part of the process that we oftentimes will resist, along with resisting change, will often even resist just being, open to pivoting if we need to. Now, this week I've been talking to you about emotions, more particularly in internal versus external stimuli and how we are emotionally triggered. And yesterday I told you that if you learn to and ultimately master your emotions, you'll be able to master your life because you have the power to change your story, to rewrite it. We a lot of time think, oh, that's the cards we've been dealt. That's the hand we've been dealt. That's the chip set we've been given. But no, we do actually have the ability to rewrite our story, the path that we're on, if we're just open and honest with ourselves and allowing ourselves to just do that, to step into it. So today, in honor of Throwback Thursday, because that's what they call Thursdays, I want to share a little bit with you about me, who I am. I'm a wife of almost 24 years to the love of my life, and I'm a fur baby mom to the cutest pup on earth. His name is Jackson, but let me tell you, he really is a handful. In fact, when I do start doing my own me time, my morning routine here, where I start off at the gym, but when I come back here to do my meditation process, my dog starts to whine. He doesn't like it. It's like I'm ignoring him. I'm not paying attention to him. So anyhow, that's him being a handful. I love to empower men and women all over the world to know and understand their truth, so that they're more confident and live a more positive life because they've achieved self-awareness around their emotions and have learned to make better decisions on how they're feeling when they are triggered. Now, if you've been following me and listening to my lives, I've often talked about being in law for many years. When I was in my last year of high school, I was asked, what do you want to be? And I came up with two choices. I wanted to be a psychologist or a legal assistant. Back then, or legal secretary, back then that's what they called it, which totally different, right? I ultimately did choose law. And so a few months before my 20th birthday, I found myself stepping into that role simply by asking a real estate attorney one day if he was looking for help. You see, at the time, I was a switchboard operator for a company that had that contract, and on the floor that I was on, which was the third floor, there were about 20 different offices on that floor, and I noticed that this real estate attorney's phones were the most busy, so they rang the most. So like I said, I just simply asked, and he said yes. I received what I wanted, but I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to achieve more and level up in my career choice, right? I was always finding myself looking for ways to get better and listening to industry leaders as to what was up and coming. For example, computers. And yes, you heard me right. So for those of you who maybe have never had to use a typewriter, believe me, when computers came into the mix, I was super happy. Love computers. But again, that's dating myself a little bit. So as I said, I always wanted to get better, level up. And so in my 20s, I simply went for it, meaning that whatever I wanted to achieve in my life and leveling up in my career, that part of it, I simply said and did what I wanted and needed to do. And I usually got what I wanted because I was super confident that I would get it. I did not have a bone in my body that said, you cannot achieve that. I just simply went for it and would get what I typically would want. to get. So now in my 30s, though, after working for a while, I started accepting my lot in life, meaning I still went after what I wanted, but I started finding myself accepting that what I got was, what I, at the time I was thinking that was all I deserved. I didn't speak up for myself like I used to. And I almost stopped believing that it being whatever it was that I wanted was even possible for me. Good morning. Thank you for joining. So now in my 40s, 45 actually, I started thinking that there has to be more to life and what I could do, but I couldn't think because I had so much going on up here and I felt stuck. I sure wish I knew back then about journaling, because there is power in the mind dump. Anyway, so 10 more years passed. And like many people that I meet even today, I was feeling like I was on a nonstop merry-go-round that I couldn't get off. Just kept going round and round and round. And there was nothing that I could do to make it stop, or so I was allowing myself to believe. Finally, at 55, I woke up, and I kind of like to say that my 20-year-old self kind of, she transported herself to the future for just a brief moment and knocked on my door and said, snap out of it. I soon realized that it's time to take action, whatever that action might be. It didn't matter, I just had to do something. So what did I do? I started researching women's groups just to start networking so that I could find out what other women were doing. What did they do? What were they doing to transition into something new? Because I knew that it was possible because women were being empowered all over the world and showing up in social media, in fact, media in general, as being go-getters and achievers and being hailed for it, right? And that's when I met someone who got me into the health and wellness space, which is kind of where, like I said, I had originally thought I would have gone before I started my career in law. Because remember, being a psychologist was one of my choices way back in school. So now fast forward, like I said, a few decades to when I finally started taking back my life, when I finally figured out the trigger cycle and not only created strategies that work and started implementing them in my own life, and I started living a more positive and happier life, I started to share it with others and have been helping others get results as well. And that's why I started my free Facebook group, Manage Your Triggers VIP Academy, which is where you go to learn what I do. But I'll talk about that later. So let's talk about this cycle, the trigger cycle. What is it? So again, as I said, it's a cycle that we navigate every single day. It's on repeat. This is on repeat, sometimes multiple times a day. And what are triggers? So triggers are things like the anniversary date of loss or trauma, perhaps a scary news event, family friction, the end of a relationship, and it doesn't even have to be romantic. It can be a long-term friendship that's gone sideways. Feeling of overwhelm, you have so much to do. And a lot of the time, people feel like they've got so much to do and so little time, but it's just learning how to effectively manage our time is how that's gonna help. So then, of course, then there's the, as I said, overwhelm of time. There's the feeling isolated. That's a big one. people isolate themselves because they don't feel like they're worthy of anything. And so they start spending more and more time alone. And that brings up a whole other slew of emotions, which isn't good. And that gets you in this emotional roller coaster. How about maybe you felt judged, criticized, teased, or put down growing up, and so now when you get constructive feedback, you feel it's a personal attack on you, and you're not actually allowing yourself to be open and accepting to something that could help you become better at what you do. And last but not least, financial problems, which is a big one, especially at this time of year. Christmas is around the corner. Well, we have Thanksgiving, a big holiday coming up. Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks here in the US, plus on top of that, Black Friday sales. So that's a huge shopping day. In fact, I've been told it's probably the biggest shopping day of the year in the US. And of course, then you go into Canada, not into Canada, I should say, into Christmas. I grew up in Canada, so I've got Canada on the mind. Okay, so then you have Christmas, and of course, then all the financial responsibilities or obligations you feel that you have to buy gifts, how many gifts you buy, how much money do you spend, the quality of the gifts, is it good enough? You start going through all this whole slew of questions, you start doubting yourself, and of course, so those are things that can trigger you to emotionally respond a certain way. So what triggers do then is they fuel our emotions. And what do our emotions do? That's the piece here that manages our life right now, if we allow it to. Our emotions drive our responses, the things that we say and we do based on how we are triggered. And so because of that, we are allowing this piece to manage our lives, meaning we show up and say the things that we want to say and do in the moment because we're feeling justified in our feelings. And once we've cooled off and had time to think about it, oftentimes we feel we have to go back and fix it because we usually regret the things that we've said and we've done because somebody has been in the crosshairs of that and has gotten hurt, and they're upset by what happened. So again, that's what the trigger cycle is. Again, you do go through it multiple times a day. Well, at least once a day, sometimes multiple times. So why is it important to know how to navigate this cycle? Well, if you've caught my live from yesterday, I shared with you that if you learn to and ultimately master your emotions, this piece right here, you will be able to master your life because you'll have the power to change your story. Your emotions don't have to and shouldn't define who you are and who you want to be. They shouldn't. But we've allowed that piece to become just a normal part of our lives because we're not really thinking that we do have that control. But I'm here to tell you that you do have that control if you take responsibility for it. So now let's talk benefits. Here are the positives that I found if you learn to achieve self-awareness on how you show up when you are emotionally triggered and how you respond to being emotionally triggered, the things that you say and you do, and you start to manage your emotions rather than the other way around. So people who know how to manage their emotions are often described as having a high emotional intelligence. They allow themselves to be open and allow themselves to not be so rigid and resistant, understanding that change is inevitable and pivoting can be a positive thing. They understand that why would I want to be forced to accept change? Because change is inevitable. Wouldn't you rather be open to embracing change so that you're not feeling like you're being pulled kicking and screaming along the way? And then you're unhappy and you're resentful. So again, you're allowing yourself to be open and allowing yourself to understand that change is inevitable and that pivoting may be part of the process and it can be a positive thing. People who know how to manage their emotions know how to effectively handle conflict, which goes hand in hand with being logical. People who know how to handle their emotions tend to be more logical because they're willing to accept that they're not always right, are willing to accept that there are two sides to every story, and that in turn can help them to effectively handle conflict. They tend to have inner peace and feel more calm when they are emotionally triggered because they've gained self-awareness around how something or someone triggers an emotional response from them and how they would typically show up, how they react, the things that they typically would say or do. And they're more conscious of it so they can make better decisions around this piece, which is what we can control. People who know how to manage their emotions tend to be more secure and confident in their own skin, who they are, what they do, and where they are going in their life. When you become self-aware around your emotions, around this cycle that you will go through every day, let me tell you one thing. You cannot talk your way out of it. You cannot have someone else go through it for you. You cannot pay someone to go through for you. You cannot pay someone so that you don't have to go through it. It is something that you will go through every single day, no matter who you are, no matter what kind of life you have. You're going to go through, whether it's a great life or not, you're going to go through this. And it's just having that self-awareness around this piece will help you go through it better, more confident, calm. So again, when you become self-aware around your emotions, around this cycle, you embrace change as a positive thing and you learn to pivot. You're not being resistant to it. You become more calm. You have inner peace. You become more logical, learning to exceed that there's two sides of a story. You're not always trying to be right, and you're able to effectively, handle conflict. You're secure and confident in your own skin and who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going, which will lead to you making better decisions around how you emotionally show up and respond to your triggers, which also can lead to better relationships with the people in your life. You essentially learn to master and manage your emotions, and now you're able to be fully present in your life because you now have the power to change your story, to be and show up as the person that you want to be. Again, your emotions don't have to and should not define who you are and who you want to be. I don't know about you, but when you are in this stage and you're allowing yourself to let this piece manage you every single day, and so then you end up saying things and doing things that you often regret, and when you've cooled off and had time to think about it, that you are thinking, oh my gosh, now I have to go back and fix it. What is that doing to you? Well, that's putting you always in the past, right? One foot in the past because you know, I got to go back and fix something before I can even think about what I'm doing right now. And then you don't even have a chance to even think about what's coming up next because you're always over your shoulder thinking about, I got to go fix this, I got to go fix that. And so again, by allowing your emotions to define you, you are always going to be one foot in the past. And you're never, and I'm not trying to scare you, other than to tell you, to help you to realize that if you want to be able to have that life that you want to live and love the life that you're living, you need to be able to have self-awareness around how you're navigating this cycle. So you make better decisions around how you're emotionally triggered and how you show up. So that's why I started my free Facebook group, so that you can have a place to go where you can learn to become self-aware around this and gain all of those benefits that I just mentioned. You know, secure, confident, more calm, logical. How about being respected by others because they see you being that person who is, you know, how they handle their emotions, you're more calm. You're able to effectively handle conflict. You get looked up to, and you have better relationships with the people in your life. That's just to name a few. So what do you get by joining the free Facebook group? You become a member of a community of like-minded people who said, yes, it's time for me to learn self-awareness around how I'm triggered so I can start managing my emotions so I can make better decisions in how I am showing up. And you will be part of a community, as I said, of people who will be supporting, uplifting, and encouraging you. So you're going to support each other, you're going to encourage each other, and you're going to uplift each other to go through this journey to your own self-awareness. You learn how to level up your self-awareness by implementing tips and strategies that I provide you to get you thinking about your self-awareness around your emotions, how you're typically showing up emotionally when you get triggered. And by joining the group, you get mentally challenged. So to step outside of your comfort zone with challenges that I will provide with you monthly, as I said, because I know you're capable of mentally challenging yourself. It's just, do you want to? Do you feel you're worth it? And I think the answer is yes. And by joining this group, you have access to me. I go live every Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it's today's Thursday, so tonight I'm going live. It's a live Q&A. You get to ask me anything. So maybe you're looking for a quick tip or strategy, you know, something that you're going through, or maybe someone you know, someone in your life right now is challenged by this, and maybe there's something that I can help you with so that you can help them. So again, you get to ask me anything, and this is all free. It's all part of this group is free. Community, you know, just leveling up your self-awareness around how you're emotionally triggered and having a live Q&As with me, access to me. Now, as I've said, it's all free for you, and I've helped others achieve self-awareness around this cycle. I'm currently working within my own group right now, helping others achieve self-awareness around it. And I would love to be able to help you. If you're not a part of the group, I would love to be able to help you do that as well. You know, if I hadn't decided 2 years ago to finally step up and to figure out why I felt there was more to life and to actually step into the health and wellness business, health and wellness industry, and go on my own journey to self-discovery and self-awareness, I'd probably still be stuck working unhappily. In fact, I think very miserable in an industry where my life and how I lived it was dictated by my job. My life literally revolved around my job. So my job came first and everything else came second. And if there was anything left over for me, which there usually never was any time left over for me, I came last, and sometimes not at all. And so I was that girl who played the victim, and I was always complaining about my life, but I never did anything about it to change it. I had the power to rewrite my story, but I wasn't allowing myself to accept that in order to rewrite my story, I had to learn to accept that things may change, things may have to change, and that things may change. And if I allowed myself to pivot, you know, change my habits and not be fearful because I wouldn't have control or know the outcome, the possibilities could be amazing. And so that's what I did. I allowed myself to open up my mind to the possibility of an amazing new journey by accepting that pivoting and embracing change, meaning I moved here to Las Vegas a couple of years ago, almost 2 years ago, But before that, I started my journey, that could open up doors for me to living a life that I absolutely love, but also to start loving the life that I'm living. And I want that for you too. I really hope this was helpful for you to hear, because, you know, learning to and ultimately gaining self-awareness around your emotions, because that's the piece you can control. It's super important to your emotional well-being, to your well-being overall, so you can start living a more positive life today, right? Today. I mean, I want that for you to start today, this moment. I appreciate your support by uplifting and encouraging me to keep going. I only ask that you help me help others by sharing this video to get this message out there, because there are people out there today that need to hear this message. They need to hear that there is a way to navigate this cycle. And maybe they're not even aware that it's a cycle they're going through. But if they learn the triggers, they learn to manage their emotions so they can handle those triggers, they make better responses, the actions, the things that they say and they do, and have a more rewarding life because it's more positive. Remember to navigate your day with an attitude of gratitude, because with the right attitude, it will put you in the right mindset for when life happens. And again, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I'm Leslie Cadet, and I am an empowerment coach to help my clients achieve self-awareness around their emotions so that they can handle their triggers, manage their emotions, and live a more positive life. Oh, and one more thing. If you want to join the group, the link's in the title. I also created a free resource for you to kickstart your day into getting into the right mindset. The link for that, the free resource, Achieve Harmony with Me Time, is in the title notes as well. I'm looking forward to you joining the group, getting the free resource, and to connecting with you. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, and thanks so much for joining. Bye for now.